My name is Dr. Michael Majak. I'm the chair of the Department of Physical Therapy. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Doctor of Physical Therapy White Coat Ceremony for the DPT class of 2019. Please take a seat. So what a special day, what a special occasion. We are so pleased that many of the family members and friends of the class of 2019 can be with us here today. And through live streaming, those who can't be with us here physically are here through internet connections. We're pleased to share with you an afternoon ceremony which has many facets and perspectives. I'll introduce the participants as they come forward to contribute to the day's proceedings. We'll begin with an invocation from Rabbi Baruch Vogel, who's the campus rabbi for the Turtle Law Center, a member of the Turtle Department of College Affairs. Please stand.
Avinu Shabbat Shemayim, Heavenly Father, bless all those who have assembled today for the Department of Physical Therapy's White Coat Ceremony for the class of 2019. Almighty God, Rofei Chol Basar Mafti La'asos, healer of all flesh and wondrous in your acts, you've instructed and empowered humanity to provide relief, comfort, and aid to all of your children. We and all who are involved in the civil and medical education are your agents in this task. May your abundant blessings always be showered on those who enter the halls of this institution. Give strength, courage, and fortitude to the men and women who are now prepared to leave the classroom and engage in direct patient contact. Bless them as they set out as your agents to serve those in need, those in pain and discomfort, and also those who seek their help. Grant them the wisdom and the strength to strengthen the weak and to uplift those in despair. As the students begin the actualization of the knowledge that they have acquired, we pray that they constantly remember the principles to which they were educated. May they always recognize each and every patient as the individual that they are, and grant them the ability to always acknowledge the interplay of body and spirit in the art of physical therapy. At this auspicious event, we also pray to you, dear God, that you shower your blessings upon the students and their loved ones, parents, spouses, children, and other dear ones who have been there for support and encouragement, both financial and emotional, and those who have helped them reach this milestone, who have sacrificed so that these students can persevere and succeed. May God bless the administration, faculty, and students of New York Medical College and grant them the wisdom, resolve, and fortitude to continue their noble mission. Turtle College was created to serve, strengthen, and improve your world, dear God, your world with its rich diversity and ever-increasing potential for good. We ask for your continued divine guidance that we together can achieve that great potential. Amen.
Thank you very much. You take our seats. So today's ceremony is intended to symbolize the transition from first-year students from the classroom to the clinic, the application of knowledge gained to working with clients and patients in clinical setting. Doctor of Physical Therapy. A professional designation should not be taken lightly. The term doctor implies and creates expectations in many people, many things. Wisdom, skill, compassion, guidance. Interestingly, the term doctor is actually derived from the Latin term doctus, having been taught, learned, docere, to teach. So in fact, the term doctor implies an individual who's been educated in a very fine fashion, who's acquired special knowledge and skills to apply to patients. In that sense, you never really become a doctor of physical therapy. It's a constant evolution, continual growth and change of state. This is the nature of any true health professional, be it a physician, physical therapist, speech-language pathologist, or public health practitioner. This day does not celebrate an educational process of becoming a doctor of physical therapy. That's really a commencement proceeding. The ceremony today is an explicit expression of our students committing themselves to the professional and ethical obligations of a doctor of physical therapy as they begin the privilege of dedicating themselves to the care of others. I welcome all sharing of the celebration. It is now my honor and pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Edward Halpern, the Chancellor and Chief Executive Officer of New York Medical College, and ask Dr. Halpern to share some comments with us today on the proceedings.
Michael, most reverend members of the clergy, Dean Amler, officers of the school and the college, members of the faculty, ladies and gentlemen in attendance, and my dear young physical therapists. The standard speech for people like me on occasions of this sort are to say something along the lines of welcome to physical therapy school and congratulations on getting here, that sort of thing. I will not be engaging in that. These are serious times, and there are some serious things I want to discuss with you. When the Gold Medical Humanism Foundation began promoting the concept of a white coat ceremony in the health professions, I opposed it. No one in the United States subsequently has had any interest in my opinion, and the ceremony has spread like wildfire across the higher education landscape and is now part and parcel of the rituals of this part of your higher education. I didn't like the white coat ceremony because I thought it smacked very much of, look at me. I have spun around and around on the merry-go-round of life up until this point, and I caught the brass ring. I'm going to be a doctor of physical therapy. Hooray for me. I get a white coat as a sign of victory. I didn't like it because it seemed to come with the idea that if your professors stood up and told you to be humanistic and gave you a white coat in a ceremony that was dripping with the word humanism, that somehow something magical would happen and we'd all be transformed. And I did not think that sermons and treating the white coat as a totem made health practitioners ipso facto nice. I do think that the hard work of the critical study of biomedical history, of ethics, and of health policy, the hard work of the study of the biomedical humanities and biomedical social sciences instead are effective tools to help make us wise and decent. My view is that the study of the biomedical humanities are far more valuable than speeches about being humanistic. Now, in that context, I'd like to recall two venerable stories this afternoon about garments. I recognize that those of you here this afternoon come from a variety of faith traditions and some from no faith tradition. I ask you, therefore, to bear with me as I pick some stories from a faith tradition and will read to you from the King James Version of the book of Genesis. For the purpose of minding our time, I'm going to leave out some of the verses for those of you who wish to come up in the afternoon, but you didn't include. I know that. Genesis chapter 37. Now Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. This is the history of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brothers. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all of his children, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a tunic of many colors. But when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, they hated him and could not speak peaceably to him. Obviously, this verse is translated by some others as coat of many colors or tunic of many colors. Another chapter, Genesis chapter 3. Now the serpent was more cunning than any other beast of the field which the Lord had made. And he said to the woman, "Has God indeed said, you shall not eat of the tree of the garden?" And the woman said to the serpent, "We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die." And the serpent said to the woman, "You will not die, for God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." So the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise. And she took of the fruit and ate. She also gave it to her husband with her, and he ate. And the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves coverings. The story goes on for God to discuss with them what they did when they ate of the tree, and the story ends. And also for Adam and for his wife, the Lord God made tunics of skin, and he clothed them. Well, why did I read you those two stories, and what are the morals of the story for a white coat ceremony? There are two. First, any garment worn with arrogance reflects badly on the individual wearer and on their profession. Second, you get a garment when you fully appreciate the difference between good and evil. Some of you may have entered this profession because you fantasize about helping ballerinas reach the height of artistic achievement with physical therapy, of working with athletes at major sporting events, of helping grateful and articulate patients who've had elective joint replacement surgery get back on their feet and back to the office. And many of you will do just that. But all of you are about to meet 7-year-olds who have been beaten by their biological mother's boyfriend and suffered multi-system injury. And you will meet 22-year-old military veterans who were blown up by a roadside bomb placed by an angry young man who was raised to hate. And you will meet a 40-year-old Spanish-speaking migrant farm worker who has spent his or her life ill-fed, ill-clothed, ill-housed, and drenched in pesticides, who is suffering from back and shoulder pain by being paid less than a living wage to harvest onions or melons. You are about to all see evil face to face and broadly with teeth. And you could respond to unremitting evil by despair, or by questioning how God made such a world. But I submit to you that neither is either a reasonable nor an effective response. The only response to evil is action. By making one patient at a time better, while simultaneously working to make processes, organizations, and systems better. And therefore, I submit to you that if you treat the white coat this afternoon not as a reward for past success, not as a caught ring on the merry-go-round, and not as a metaphorical coat of many colors designed to celebrate you as a glorious and favored individual, but instead, if you accept the white coat humbly as just one more step in the process of repairing this broken world, then I will be at peace with the ceremony, which is of course unimportant, but that you will begin to understand part of your role in a world you are about to encounter. Therefore, I welcome all of you to that long line of women and men in white coats which stretch backward and forward in time for people who have committed their lives to the amelioration of pain, the relief of suffering, and of helping people to avoid, to the extent possible, premature death. I wish you all Godspeed on this next part of your journey, young physical therapists of the New York Medical College.
Dr. Halpern, thank you for such insightful words and thoughts. So meaningful at a time for reflecting upon the peppermint issues by changing the lives of people around us. Thank you very much. We're pleased to have Dr. Amler, the Dean of the School of Health Sciences and Practice, here today with us. Dr. Amler, I invite you up to share your perspectives on the day as well.
Thank you, Dr. Majak, and I also want to thank Dr. Halpern for his wonderful remarks just now. I want to thank Dr. Majak and his faculty for making this day possible. Also want to thank all of the families, the loved ones, and of course the students themselves for their performance this year. This has been a fantastic class. I know we're just getting started. We're not even halfway there. But this is a class we are very, very proud of. They've already been working very hard to achieve what they've done. They're getting out into clinical realms, and that's the time to start thinking about these white coats. I'm wearing one myself. I remember the day I put it on for the first time. It was a while back, but in a sense it wasn't a while back. When we put this coat on, we remind ourselves every time of the role that we play in fighting disease, preventing disease, optimizing health, helping people recover function, helping them improve function, helping them optimize their lives in the real physical world and the real physical things that sometimes befall people. So as Dr. Halpern already said, when we wear this coat, every time we put it on, we are joining a network of clinicians that go backward in time, forward in time, and also from coast to coast in this great country and around this great planet. The coat essentially is telling others that they can trust us. And I hope that will always be true in your case as well as in mine. We are imperfect beings, of course, but the coat symbolizes trust. It symbolizes a dedication to the welfare of others, as Dr. Halpern said. It's not that we think we're hotshots. It's that we think we're hot because we can do something. We can do something meaningful and technically expert that many other people our age and who may look like us cannot do because they don't have the clinical expertise. It also reminds us of a certain neutrality where our patients are concerned, where their circumstances are concerned, etc. Because with this coat, you cannot tell if this physical therapist or this pediatrician, in my case, is rich or poor, is R or D, is gender one way or gender another way, or ethnically this way or ethnically that way. We all put on the same white coat, and that generates and projects trust, dedication, neutrality. The one thing we do have in common, and one thing we do project, is looking out for the welfare and the well-being of the particular individual who is in front of us at that moment in time. As the rabbi said, we are members, we are joining this citadel of healthcare. I love that expression. And we will, as inductees, always strive to be worthy doctors and worthy stewards of our citadel. Congratulations, welcome. We've got a long way to go.
Soon began to develop pain and stiffness in his back and shoulders and neck as the adrenaline rush began to subside. He was transported to a local hospital for further evaluation. This gentleman was in otherwise excellent physical shape and was indeed a professional athletic trainer. Yet in a split second, he became a patient who may need your professional services. I relate this story because it struck me how suddenly someone who is otherwise healthy and active becomes a potential patient. Your potential patient. Now, physicians, I'm heard, began wearing the white lab coat in the late 19th century as it embodied the new ideology of physicians as scientists and medicine based on sound scientific principles and research. This grounding in evidence-based practice is exactly the foundation we seek and your faculty seeks to impart to you. By bestowing the white coat today, we're acknowledging that you are ready to begin applying this foundational knowledge in the clinic. What I hope you've also learned here at New York Medical College, and as others have said before me more eloquently today, is to see the person behind the patient. Whether your patient is recovering from a stroke, a collision, cardiac surgery, or whatever the presenting problem, I hope you will spend time to understand his or her circumstances, concerns, fears, and aspirations. Doing so will help you develop the rapport that is so important to instill patients' confidence in you, and as Dr. Emmer said, the trust that the white coat portrays, and will in turn help you to push your patient to succeed in what may be a daunting rehabilitation process. So, congratulations and best of luck in your studies and clinical experience.
to Dr. Watson. In addition to the perspectives of Dr. Halpern, Hamler, and Watson, we wanted to share some faculty perspectives from our own program. Dr. Christina Wilson is going to say some words on behalf of the faculty this afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, like Dr. Amler mentioned, I too remember the day that I received my white coat when I was at Columbia University. And like Dr. Halpern mentioned, I too believe that we have a role in fighting the good and evil that is out there in the world. And often as physical therapists, we won't get to wear that white coat as often as our medical colleagues do, because often we're taking the coat off, we might be kicking the shoes off, we might be crawling on the ground with that pediatric patient, showing the patient our feet and how they should use them when we walk. But ultimately, no matter what profession we come from, we're going to be getting into the trenches with our patients, right, to help them. And so that's kind of what I want to talk to you about a little bit more, is the physical therapy perspective. Because today's event signifies the beginning of your clinical career as a physical therapy student. It can be considered a rite of passage in your journey to become a physical therapist, as it does mark the transition from your time as in the study of physical therapy in the classroom with us out into the practice of physical therapy in a clinical setting. As you don your white coat and you repeat the pledge of physical therapy today, I urge you to thoughtfully reflect upon the responsibilities that you are going to be undertaking. To always utilize the knowledge, skill, evidence, and compassion that you possess to represent our profession well, as you act to restore, maintain, and promote the optimal physical function, as well as the optimal wellness, fitness, and quality of life as it relates to the movement and health of the patients you are going to serve. Know who you are as a physical therapist, your training, and the scope of your practice. I'm going to quote Dr. Shirley Sarman in the American Physical Therapy Association. "Movement is the core of physical therapy. The movement system is important for function at all levels of the organism and for life. Because of this importance of this system to health and function, physical therapists are obligated to monitor their patients' movement systems across the lifespan, to guide optimal development, to aid prevention, and to diagnose and treat dysfunction or impairments that arise. Physical therapists should play a key role in optimizing and restoring function, preventing further dysfunction, and promoting optimal health. So what this means to you as you move into the clinical world, treat what is appropriate for physical therapy services. Keep an eye on the prevention of non-communicable diseases and overuse injuries. Refer to and collaborate to our medical, dental, mental health, and allied health professionals so that you can provide the best and optimal patient-centered care. And like I told you the first day I met you, always remember that patients do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. So be mindful of the enormous responsibility and positive impact you can have on the life of every patient that you're going to come into contact with, but first and foremost, remember to show them how much you care about them.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. We're very pleased to have a graduate of our program who agreed to come back to speak a bit about the change from having been a physical therapy student to a beginning practitioner as a doctor of physical therapy. So I'm very pleased to introduce Dr. Nicholas Naguib. He's a graduate of the class of 2013. He's currently a senior physical therapist at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City. We've asked him to share some of his reflections as a recent graduate who made the transition from a student to the clinical world. Dr. Naguib.
Thanks, Dr. Majak. So I find that the paradigm of stewardship is among the most helpful in thinking about the new responsibilities that you are partially walking into now and will fully assume in 2 short years. So I'd like to tell you a story from the Gospel of Matthew, which I think has some really valuable messages for each of you entering clinical rotations. So Jesus tells about a master who goes on a trip and he entrusts his estate to 3 servants. He gives one servant 5 bags of gold, another 2 bags, and another 1. When the master comes back, the one who was given 5 says, you entrusted me with 5, I gained 5 more. And the master said, well done. good and faithful servant. The one who's given 2 said, you entrusted me with 2 bags. I gained 2 more. And the master said, well done, good and faithful servant. The one who was given 1 bag said, I was afraid, so I went out and I hid your gold in the ground. And the master said, you are a wicked and lazy servant. And he fired him. So you might be asking, what's the point? We aren't investment bankers, we aren't dealing with bags of gold. The crux is stewardship. As you step into the clinic as a student physical therapist, each of you are becoming stewards of trust. For many of your clients, this trust has been broken, and you will have to work to earn it. Others will instinctively trust you, maybe because you wear a white coat, and because of your position in the medical profession. Either way, hurting and by definition vulnerable people will be coming through your door, and you will go through their door, possibly, and they will trust you with their hurting bodies. Regardless of the populations you work with, the setting, your work schedule, the size of your practice or department, or the quality of the mentorship structure at your clinical setting or workplace, there is a cultural, internal, escapist pull to hate our work, to live for the weekend, to continually look ahead to the end of the day when you will finally be able to do what you couldn't do because you were at work. Because let's face it, the profession that you're entering into is challenging. It's difficult. I remember my first clinical rotation down the road at White Plains Hospital. I was terrified and overwhelmed. And it wasn't for lack of preparation. Walking into the clinic can be very intimidating. There's a lot of information coming your way, from institutional orientations to managing the relationship with your instructor, to the clinical decision making, to learning a new documentation software. Lots of things, all happening at once. I'd do an entire evaluation and not remember half of it. My cortisol levels must have been through the roof, and it took me a while to get my footing. Some say starting a new job is like working one and a half jobs all at once. So I think it might be closer to 2 full-time jobs when you enter into a clinical rotation. But these are your chances to explore and to ask questions. Don't be afraid to fail. Get your instructor's opinions about techniques or courses, continuing education, what they think about their workplace, what they like about their job at their setting, what they don't. Don't stop with your instructor. Ask, get as many opinions from staff that you get to know as well. If appropriate, ask for an informational interview with the manager of the department. Seek out those who have pursued board specializations and grill them about it. Ask them all the questions you can think of. And I've been there, I get it. Most of you might have a specific rotation in mind that you're really looking forward to. Maybe the coveted pediatrics rotation or the inpatient rehab rotation, or maybe you want to ship out to San Francisco. And that's great, and I really hope it works out. But don't just write off a whole rotation because you don't think you're going to like it, or maybe because it wasn't your first choice. I'd like to encourage you to really embrace the great opportunities that come with clinical education. When I was working on the inpatient spinal cord unit, I treated a lady who had fallen down several stairs and had bilateral lower extremity paraplegia. She was dealing with a huge life change and was not coping well. She had a really toxic attitude and treated most members of the staff with hostility and condescension, me included. Every day for 1 to 2 hours, I fought to try and teach her how to move. And in many ways, it was really miserable for her and for me. I dreaded that hour spent with her and couldn't wait for it to be over. But as I reflect back on the encounters with her, I realized I did not have the compassion, the patience, or the respect that we should strive to have. My stewardship was imperfect. Each of you will have unique challenges. It won't be the same for you as it will be for me, but there will be challenges. And most of us, if we're honest, will feel the pull to escape the hard stuff and continue. And I continue to feel that pull every single day. I think one of the things that can provide you with a steady anchor is stewardship. Remembering that you've been entrusted with so much knowledge, intellect, restorative hands-on techniques that give you the ability to really touch an individual or a family's life in a meaningful way. The half hour that you spend with that person is just one of the segments of half hours that break up your day, but for them, it's their time and money and effort and hope entrusted to you to guide them in doing something productive and healthy. This was recently made clear to me in a fresh way. On Saturdays, several of my patients come into the treatment gym with their family members. This past week, a young guy came in with his wife and 2 kids, both under the age of 4. He's their primary caregiver, and his back pain is compromising his ability to pick them up and feed them and get them to and from appointments and all the activities that the primary child caregiver has to do. My 87-year-old lady who has back pain was in with her daughter and niece. They're looking forward to taking her on a cruise in July to celebrate her birthday and to spend time with her in what is likely the last stage of her life, but they're concerned that her pain will limit her ability to get around on a huge ship. Having these patients' loved ones come into the clinic helped me to remember that our clients' problems occur in a very, very important context. When you enter that context, you have a unique position to help, to heal, and to restore. So while the challenges you face in the clinic will all look slightly different, I believe the single greatest challenge that you will face, both in practice and in life, will be on the field of stewardship. How will you choose to leverage the opportunities that are in front of you? How will you protect your patient's trust? How will you respond when your stewardship is imperfect? I challenge you to remember that you are a steward of your patient's trust, their time, their money, their effort, their hope, and that stewardship will mark your clinical practice in all aspects of life.
Thank you very much, Dr. McGee, for those great comments in terms of the experiences you had and through the real world of the clinic and trying to stay true to our credentials and our beliefs and our obligations. I thank all of our speakers for their thoughts and words, for helping to set the tone and atmosphere for the white coat dining of our first-year students. As a component of the Doctor of Physical Therapy program, incoming students are assigned to a professional development group with a faculty advisor. Over the 3 years of the program, the faculty advisor mentors and guides the students in the evolution from academic student to clinical professional. I will introduce our faculty to you, and as I do so, ask them to come forward and take their positions on the stage in preparation of the white coat dining ceremony. Dr. Catherine Curtis. Dr. Janet Galat. Dr. Gail Lavender. I'm going back to you. Dr. Susan Ronan. Dr. Kristen Lawson. We will be announcing the names of students and donning the white coats in groups. We ask that you hold your applause until all students in the group are called and have donned their white coat. Dr. Nikki Goronsky has recently joined the faculty and as such has yet to work and have the opportunity to be with a professional development group. Her role today will be to announce the names of students as they come forth to don their white coat. Dr. Goronsky.
First row of the class of 2019, please stand up. Sebastian Axonet. Mungi Fat. Victoria Colon. Shanae Davis Hill. Kenesha Brown. Maureen Anders. Elizabeth Ziegler, John Deteen, Rebecca Colombi, Julianne Batista, second row, class of 2019, please stand. Victor Gandar, Adrian Flanagan, Dale Bois, Samantha Finelli, Matthew Fedorchuk, Jennifer Lee. Benjamin Hilka, Paige Forstoff, Rebecca Sachs, Olivia Fiscatelli, Jasmine Fulch, Christine Myers. The third row of class of 2019, please rise. Janice Conkle, Samuel O'Keefe, Emma Scholler, Shayna Ginsberg, Christina O'Connor, Allison O'Connell. Adam Shatnak, Eric Pecoraro, Evan Stein, Tessa Merritt, Stephen Paulus, Jessica Achi. The fourth row, please rise. Kelly Winans, Tyler Vance Benskutten, Michael Tyrone, Stephanie Savino, Deanna Utter, Gemma Stryker, Danielle Van Clive. Sinjin Whiteman.
Thank you, faculty. If I get another hand of applause for the class of 2019. As part of today's proceedings, our students attest to their dedication to ethical and professional physical therapy practice by reciting the Pledge for Physical Therapy. Dr. Janet Gulab has the honor of leading our students through the Pledge for Physical Therapy. Dr. Gulab.
Good afternoon. Congratulations. Can you hear me? I'm so pleased to lead the class through the Pledge for Physical Therapy. You will find it printed on the back cover of today's program for those of you who are following along. The pledge was developed by the Section on Education of the American Physical Therapy Association in 2004. We feel it represents well the commitment of being a doctor of physical therapy, and so have adopted it for use during this auspicious occasion. Class of 2019, please stand. And repeat after me. As I enter the profession of physical therapy, to practice as a physical therapist, that was a trick. I solemnly and willingly pledge the following. I will respect the rights and dignity of all individuals. And will provide compassionate care. I will be trustworthy towards my patients and clients. And in all other aspects of physical therapy practice. I will place the welfare of my patients and clients above my own self-interest. I will provide accurate and relevant information to patients and clients about their care. And to the public about physical therapy services. I will exercise sound judgment and comply with laws and regulations. That govern physical therapy and protect the public from unethical, incompetent, and illegal acts. I will maintain professional competence. And promote high standards for physical therapy practice, education, and research. I will address the health needs of society. And strive to effect changes that benefit patients, clients, and the community. I will respect the rights, knowledge, and skills of colleagues and other healthcare professionals. And seek consultation whenever the welfare of the patient or client may be advanced. Thus, with this pledge, I freely accept the responsibilities that accompany the practice of physical therapy. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Zawad, and class of 2019. I'd like to invite up Dr. Gail Lavender to offer some concluding remarks today.
Good afternoon, everyone. This morning I attended a 2-hour lovely presentation on mindfulness down at NYU. And I could talk to you about that, but that's not my purpose here. I really mentioned that because I wanted to share with you their definition of mindfulness. It is the awareness that emerges through paying on purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally, to the unfolding of experience. This ceremony is the beginning of a process of professional development that will never stop throughout your career. As spoken just now in the pledge, I remind you that you will be loyal to you have several actions that you have to perform. You'll be loyal, hopefully, to your profession, committing to the larger good beyond yourself. That you will have respect for the well-being and humanity. That you will aid in the general welfare of the community. That you will employ the spirit of cooperation. That you will resist outside forces such as politics and material advancement. Do not abandon your own beliefs. And finally, that you will practice with conscience and dignity. Now that you have donned your white coat for the first time, I hope that you will take a moment, a mindfulness moment, to think about that first step you take after putting on your white coat and realize that this is the first step on a journey that will be exciting and frustrating, but will be the most fantastic journey that you will ever take. I speak for all faculty and welcome you on the journey.
Thank you, Dr. Lavender. The vision statement of physical therapy profession is to transform society by optimizing movement to enhance the human experience. Very broad-based. I look forward to seeing how each of you will fulfill that pledge. Before I conclude the program, I'd like to ask for applause for numbers of sets of people here. Once again, for the class of 2019, congratulations. I want to give an opportunity of the class to thank their family, friends, and loved ones, both here and those connected by live stream, for all the support they've been given throughout the process. I also ask that we acknowledge Rabbi Fogel, Dr. Halpern, Dr. Amler, Dr. Watson, and Dr. McGee for the remarks and presence here today. I'd also like to acknowledge the faculty and Fiona Viate, who've been instrumental in helping this day to become a reality. As well as Jennifer Reichert, Michael Cotter, Alex Tavares, and those individuals who've helped make this day possible from a functional standpoint. I now formally close the ceremony. Ask for the following be done. Students and stage party, please stay down here in front for some pictures for the event. Families and friends, I invite you to carefully, row by row, exit to the lobby, but we'll be joining you for our pictures. Thank you very much for your attendance today.